All right, joining us right now to talk about all of it, David Polyansky, former chief of staff to Ted Cruz, former deputy campaign manager for Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign, and senior correspondent for The Grio, Natasha Alford. Okay, team, let's start here. I am going to quote one person that we love and admire, John Berman, from the 7 a.m. hour, and I'll look down to get it right. For the first time in history, a sitting president is debating a former president. For the first time in history, a general election debate is in June. I will also now add, and for the first time in history, it really seems that more voters than ever would prefer that these were not the two choices that they had standing on that debate stage. Add that all up. How, and all the unprecedented here, how much impact could this have, this debate, and the day after?
Well, a significant one, and we didn't add the age of the candidates as well from a historical perspective. So there's a lot of first here, and a great opportunity for both of them, but potential pitfalls. And I think for the president in particular, there's a challenge because he's got to meet three thresholds. He's got to, A, be able to show fitness for office, which is not just age, but the ability to stand on stage and debate Donald Trump, who's pretty aggressive and can carry the tempo of a debate for 90 minutes. Number two, he's going to have to talk about his vision for the future. And I think that's where the president's had a hard time so far, which is he's really wanted to go back to his record and try to defend it. He's got to paint a vision for the next 4 years, what a second term would look like. But lastly, and most critically, the president and frankly the former president are both going to have to defend their records. And right now, with issues like immigration and inflation top of mind, immigration top of mind, and you know, even what's going on across the globe being top of mind of voters, that's a real problem for him right now because there's a great deal of dissatisfaction. So he's got the chance to turn that around tomorrow night, and that's the way he can climb back in the polls. The last thing I just say, because 4 years ago at this point in the race, Joe Biden was up by 10 points in polling. This is a much different race than it was the last time these gentlemen debated. It's a different country, it's a different electorate, it's a different political environment. So it's a great chance for the president to turn this thing around if he's got a chance to do it.
And to your point, I think Joe Biden actually has to take us back to that time. Remind us of the fear that existed in the country, the mismanagement of COVID, the way in which people were yearning for change, but also they felt that so much was at stake.
But isn't there a challenge also with the going back? I'm always struggling. How much do you look back and how much do you have to look forward? I guess you got to get both.
So I think it's both. And I think that he's done a great deal of work which hasn't been spotlighted. What about the $5 billion that has been invested in the workforce, right? Semiconductors aren't sexy, but they are the future of the workforce.
I don't know who you're hanging out with.
You know what I mean? The $3 billion, you know, $3 billion invested in connecting marginalized communities that were divided and segregated by highways. These are the things that don't make it to the top of the news cycle because of the fights that we're covering, but this is real significant work. And so he can talk about a future that excites people, shows people the investments that he's made, while also reminding them what's at stake in terms of democracy.
Let's talk about one of the big issues, immigration, you were mentioning. So today, the Department of Homeland Security is reporting new numbers and essentially saying that there's been a significant drop in illegal crossings, attempted illegal crossings, in the 3 weeks since Biden's asylum crackdown, about a 40% drop in these 3 weeks. I asked the DHS secretary if with that in mind, if Biden's border policies are working, why aren't people feeling it? Why aren't people giving him credit for it? Let me play what Mayorkas told me.
The fact of the matter is our policy is working, our policies are working. We need our system fixed. The numbers that we inherited in 2021 were on the cusp of the COVID-19 pandemic and do not speak to the trends in immigration preceding the pandemic. What we have done, what this administration has done, is we have brought the economy moving forward with a booming economy and with a healthy American public. We have regained our stature as the place of destination where everyone wants the opportunities that only America offers.
Is that convincing enough, if that's a presentation on the debate stage, for Joe Biden to turn it around? The numbers have not really fluctuated in terms of what polling suggests voters are feeling about Joe Biden, immigration, and Donald Trump.
I think it takes a long time for a narrative to take hold, and it's going to be more than one executive order. It's going to be more than one soundbite. Republicans have been hitting this drum for a really long time that immigration is a problem. You've seen a shift in polls where the American public now ranks immigration as a top concern. And so Joe Biden has to show that he's not Trump light, he's not just sort of imitating Trump, that he's reacting to a problem that he did propose legislation for on day one of his administration, and that his approach is still humanitarian, that there's something distinct, that he's not simply imitating Trump, which of course just gives Trump credit for the moment.
And he could very easily, blame Congress for sure is one thing that he can very easily do. Send me a bill, I was ready to sign it. I want to get one more thing in, David, before we have to go. Adam Kinzinger, Republican, longtime Republican, he endorsed Joe Biden this morning. He joined us to explain why he's backing Joe Biden and sticking his neck out in this way. Let me play this for you. Are you voting more for Joe Biden or more against Donald Trump? Which framing is it?
I think it's actually a little more for Joe Biden, because the difference here, now granted, if it was somebody else running, who knows, in the GOP,
right.
But Donald Trump is the face of, he is the head of the Republican Party. Obviously, I don't like anything he's about. But Joe Biden has shown himself to be a decent man, even when we disagree on issues.
He says that he is speaking to the 20s, the Nikki Haley voters, voters that you were pursuing for quite some time. Should Donald Trump be worried about this?
No. House members don't change the face of the electorate. Endorsements traditionally
Something
don't.
more than he has become more of a household name in the political realm.
Won't matter. What really matters here is going back to the issues we talked about. It's a debate. Yes, campaigns are about the vision for the future, and both candidates on Thursday night are going to paint it. Whether Adam Kinzinger supports one or the other won't impact that. But it's also going to be about immigration. It's also going to be about inflation in the economy, and it's going to be about our standing in the global community. And it's up to both candidates to answer those questions to the electorate. It's not going to be about House members or former House members deciding it. It's going to be how these men prepared and answer these questions on Thursday night. That's going to be the difference.
And what they do with it Thursday night, then Friday morning, and then Saturday after that. It's great to see you guys. We'll all be watching it together. Thank you so much. John.